Okay. Good evening, everybody, and I am very excited to bring this first of its kind for Ascent webinar series called #Learn from Doers. While we get a lot of speakers for the Ascent cohort and the larger entrepreneur ecosystem speakers from everywhere, expertise from outside the cohort, we also realize that there are gems within our own cohort who will add and have been adding a lot of value in terms of their expertise and in terms of their content, in terms of their understanding, in terms of their articulating their ideas so well in front of the audience that we decided to launch this #Learn from Doers, what we call the Ascent webinar series. And we got a lot of application from our members wanting to be a part of it and wanting to be the expert speakers. And we have kind of chosen 6 of them. And we intend to bring this 6 webinar as part of the series every day this week from 4 to 5. You can look at your inboxes to understand what all content we're doing. Today, our first esteemed speaker is Naveen Prakash, who's the director of Global Logistics Solutions India Limited. Naveen has been a member with Ascent Chennai chapter for the almost 2 years now, and a very interesting topic on leveraging LinkedIn for high quality B2B lead generation. And that's something we know is the future and a very good way to go. So I would like Naveen to introduce himself and take it from here on. Just a couple of things. We're taking questions at the end of the session. Please keep posting your questions in the Q&A, and we'll keep directing that towards Naveen as we go along the session. Over to you, Naveen.
Thank you, Archana. Thanks so much. Thank you, Ascent, for giving me the platform here to share my experience on LinkedIn and how I do my B2B marketing and what I really call as a high value engagement. So thanks so much for having me here. So first of all, introduction about myself. I'm co-founder of Global Logistics Solutions. It's a logistics company based out of India. We have 16 offices in India, and I'm one of the 3 based in Chennai. So I'm part of the Chennai Ascent group called Filter Coffee. That's my group name in Chennai. So if anybody from Chennai, they would be knowing me probably. So yes, I think most of the people I met during the Ascent Conclave in Mumbai when I was there last year. Exciting. And I remember the standee where we had to take a picture of ourselves. There's so many social media icons were kept on the frame. So I have one picture there. Very excited because that's the time I had realized the power of social media, especially for marketing. So jumping into the topic here, basically all of us know what is marketing. Marketing is one of the functions of business which generates interest in the company. It generates interest of people towards the brand of the organization. It also generates interest of potential customer to know what exactly we are doing because they've heard about us. Somebody else experienced our services and they're talking about our company. And we all know traditional marketing, how it happens basically, what we also call as hygiene marketing. Hygiene marketing, basically the word hygiene itself means nowadays all of us know how important is washing our hands. So saying that yes, we have to go wash our hands. Similarly, hygiene marketing is something that we have to do or we are doing it for so many years without even realizing that it's a marketing. Basically, we're giving a small ad in a trade magazine, or we are sponsoring a Diwali event, or we're doing a F&B sponsor for some event which is related to our industry. So these are different kind of marketing where people at least get to know our company name and they can relate our company to this particular business aspects. Now, having said that, there are various ways of hygiene marketing: magazine, newspaper. You can put in-flight magazines. You can put a hoarding. You can put a poster. But we all know that these are all limited. But these are all limited options that we had with us for so many years. But when we're talking about social media marketing, especially if you talk about social media, more importantly, YouTube is one of the most highly used social media platform where the videos are shared. Basically, any video which is more like an explanatory kind of a thing, which explains things, a process or a product or a service to any potential user. So whenever people post their videos on YouTube, they always post as it has more viewership if you start your YouTube with a subject line of how. For example, if I want to put how to export chilies from Andhra to New York, from Krishnapatnam to New York. So basically, I can explain in a video how it is done. So similarly, that's the way YouTube is highly consumed. And whenever somebody Googles the question with starting with how, the Google takes them directly to YouTube straight away. And that's one of the ways, and YouTube is highly used, and there are 2 billion users of YouTube as of now. The reason being 2 billion users is that for YouTube, you don't need any login, or you don't need any profile to be created. Second comes Facebook. So Facebook also is a platform social media, but we have seen that Facebook works very well for B2C. For example, we're in the beauty business where end consumer is watching the product and in touch with us. So that is one of the examples of B2C. I mean, we all know what is B2C. We know that how people are selling masks on Facebook now, how people are selling garments on Facebook, how people are selling birthday parties on Facebook. It's all basically a B2C concept. It works very well. Having said that, Facebook also is very good for B2B. Personally, I'm exploring it for the last 6 months. But my core experience of my B2B marketing is on LinkedIn. So I want to share about that now. So 2.5 years ago, I started using LinkedIn as a part of my undergoing an entrepreneurship development program where we were taught about various aspects of business, various, I don't want to go deep into that, but various functions of business, being sales, being operations, being finance, being HR, management, and leadership. So after doing all these functions, the last function which we are being taught was marketing. So I asked the coach, I said, why are you teaching marketing in the last? He said, Naveen, you know what? I'm going to teach you marketing where you're going to have so many leads. You must have a team in place. You must have operations in place that you should be in a position to handle the business. So I did not believe him, first of all. Then he said, no, that's the whole reason I'm keeping marketing in the last. So, and he said, my concept of teaching marketing is called magnetic marketing. So what is magnetic marketing? Magnetic marketing is something that your customers get pulled towards you rather than you trying to push your product or service to them. So that is how magnetic marketing works. So one of the examples that he gave was how I can use YouTube. So one of my batchmate, he used YouTube. He's coming from a construction industry. His name is Sendil Kumar, Honey Builders. And he started using YouTube. Today, he's got more than 100,000 subscribers. And he generates all his business of traditional contract construction business from YouTube. So similarly, I have friends who used Facebook and Instagram. And there's also one more concept of magnetic marketing is to become an author of a book. So once you become author of a book, people start treating you as an expert, as a person who knows things and who's revered in this particular trade or industry, and he has an authority over the subject. So people who have authority over the subjects, automatically they build trust very, very quickly among the crowd which is around them, and people want to hear from them and they want to do business with them also. So this is also a part of traditional, part of magnetic marketing. However, I was not very prepared to write a book, and I was not at all convinced that YouTube can work for me. And moreover, I didn't have a Facebook account by the time. In 2017, I didn't have a Facebook account by the time. So, but I did have a very dormant LinkedIn account. And I asked my coach, can I use LinkedIn? He said, Naveen, to be very frank, yes, you can use it, but I never used it, so I do not know how to go about it. So that's how my journey started with LinkedIn, and I got deep into it. And being an early riser, I was logging into LinkedIn, finishing all my work by 7 o'clock. I was experimenting with LinkedIn because it was not essential that it was like a project, but definitely I had to do something and show it to my coach that I've done some kind of a marketing activity as a part of my course. So I started learning about LinkedIn from the people who were coming on LinkedIn early morning, talking about branding, about content, about how to engage with customers, how to generate business, how to keep loyal customers with you, and about HR and so many other topics. So when I realized that most of them were Australians because of the time zone, maybe their posts were trending at that particular time. So I started making friends with them and started talking to them. Does it really work? And they started teaching me the concept of LinkedIn, how it works, and how it's useful for B2B marketing. So in fact, I also paid to one of the coaches, LinkedIn coaches based in Australia, and I learned from them a lot of concepts, which I later implemented. And I, within like few months, I started tasting some success on LinkedIn, and I really took a deep dive into LinkedIn on B2B lead generation. So that's my story, how I came to LinkedIn. And I have proof of concept, and I also have customers working with me on LinkedIn. Okay, so initially I was saying that I will not be able to share the specifics of my customers, but definitely it really works. Okay, so after this, I started to move very closely with the LinkedIn community. And in Chennai, we started the LinkedIn Local Chennai event in 2019 beginning, and we had 4 to 5 events. Then by November, we stopped it because year-end closing and after the Corona and all these things. But next month, we're going to launch our LinkedIn Local Chennai chapter also. Again, it will be online. So again, some more learning about LinkedIn from that particular group of enthusiasts, and which I currently share with everyone every Friday at 5 p.m. And I conduct a program called LinkedIn Hive, where is pro bono, free of cost, for 20 business people from across the businesses all over India who join me for 1.5 hours on Friday. So this is the concept of LinkedIn Hive I'm bringing here to Ascent under this Learn from Doers program. So yes, so whenever we talk about LinkedIn, everybody says your content is the king. What are you putting on LinkedIn as a content? People want to engage with that content. So most of us are not in a position to decide what I should start posting on LinkedIn. So whenever you post on LinkedIn, there are certain modes of posting. First is that you just write a post. It's just like few words or a sentence or a para or whatever it is, what you feel inspired about. Then you can attach a picture to it, just so that when people see the post, they don't miss out your post, because of the picture, it can attract people to stay on your post for some time, and they can read what the picture is about, something relatable. Then we have something called video. You can post a video on LinkedIn just like you post on YouTube, but or on Facebook, talking about whatever you want to talk about. Then you have something called sharing an article. Articles usually are posted by people who have something researched paper to give, and they have their own content. It's more like a blog. On a blog, people will not do cut, copy, paste. They are real, authentic writers who write something good of their own personal experience and research. There's something called articles, and we have something called sharing a document. Document is nothing else but putting out your PDF document on LinkedIn, which is also known as slide deck in LinkedIn lingo. So these are the various type of ways you can share your content on LinkedIn. So basically, what can I share on LinkedIn? This is a question everybody gets stuck with. So what do I share on LinkedIn? I will explain it to you now. Basically, anything that I learned recently. Anything that I learned recently. Why I'm sharing it? Because I want people from my industry or my trade, or people who are dealing with logistics, being an exporter, importer, or another logistics firm, they may be interested to learn what I recently learned, because they might not have had access to it, or they didn't have a time for it. So I am just putting the gist of it on LinkedIn. So this is a very easy thing to do, because there's so many webinars, so much of reading, so much of, we are spending so much of time. So we just have to put out the gist of it on the LinkedIn as a post. So anything that I learned recently. And something called newsjacking. We all know what is newsjacking. Anything which is in the news, we talk about it. So you talk about it in your own fashion. You want to give your overview about it, or you want to present it verbatim, or you want to bring your flavor to it, whatever you want to do it. So recently, I did a newsjacking post. It was about the Zoom and the Geo Meet platform being lookalike, mirror images. So there's a post I've done. it was a newsjack, the day it was launched, and I was getting WhatsApp messages that I've downloaded Geo and you also download. So immediately I went and put out the post, and there was a lot of engagement on that post. So people talking about the copyright, people talking about the Indian, whatever it is, people, there's an engagement. So the idea is to have an engagement on your post. So either you can put what you recently learned from, then you put a newsjacking, something which is in the news. Then what we can also put, what I also put is the behind the scenes. Basically, what is behind the scenes? Behind the scenes is something that people do not see. Like in movies, you see after the movies start, you see the bloopers. Okay, so there's a fun side of it. But behind the scene is something more operational kind of a thing, which people do not put it on social media. They only put the finished product. They don't show how it is done. For example, anybody in manufacturing sector, they can take a small video of the floor shop, how they're doing manufacturing, and they put out a video of it. it basically is the behind the scene. So now a lot of people are also posting their work desks during the COVID scenario. How does the work desk really look like and how the screen looks like? So basically behind the scene, if you see my table now, I mean, it's not at all something very pleasant to look at, but I would like to share it with you. Like, this is how behind the scene looks like. Okay. So you can, a lot of us have done at some point of time video recording with our friends or some event or whatever it is. So I also see that basically on Ascent platform also, the conclave videos that we had done almost in November, if I'm not wrong, we are putting those videos in chunks on the link. So you already have the data with you, you already have the information with you. You just have to make it a bite size, 1 minute to 3 minutes, and you can put it on the video. So everybody has these videos. Okay, so you don't have to go beyond and look for the content. Then basically you can share your tips and nuggets about your business. I mean, I don't have to go detail into that. You know that you being an industry expert, you being the product expert, you having so much of experience, you know certain tips and nuggets which people do not know, and you don't have any harm in sharing it, because still you know a lot more beyond this also. Like you're the Dronacharya of the your industry, and you definitely share, and you have a lot of things left in your kitty, so you can keep on sharing the tips and nuggets. So what happens? People who want is bite-sized information, they come to your post regularly, and you have more engagement on your post. Okay. Then basically what I really tried also is a lot of gist of a book that I read and a quote from a book. Basically just when I'm not having any content to share, I really get inspired because I know that people would come and engage with that. So definitely I'm coming to the topic of how I generate leads. Okay. So it's all related to that. So let's have some patience. So then we can share a client success story. Basically, what is a client success story? Simply put, it's a testimonial. We all know how difficult it is to get a client testimonial, to be very frank, because for what purpose we are asking, client itself does not know. So if I tell the customer that I want your testimonial and I want to put it on LinkedIn, and there are more than 800 million users on LinkedIn, and you would be featured on my post. So this is one of the easiest way to get a client testimonial. It works in both ways, that you have a collateral with you, that client testimonial is there, which is online also. And secondly, you build a relationship with the customer because he also gets a lot of views and he also is known among a lot of people. Usually when you take traditional format client testimonial, it used to be in a folder, and when I'm meeting a new customer, I'll open the folder and show it to them at client testimonial, or it'll be on your web page or your company presentation. But here it's for everyone to watch. Then as an expert, you can also share myths versus realities. This is basically to make it more interesting topic to share in an interesting way. Then point number 9, whatever you feel like sharing for the day, because end of the day, we are doing business with human beings. So they always don't think about business. They always think like a normal human being. We don't have to make it so formal that we're only talking about business. We can talk about a person also. So we can put whatever we feel like for the particular day, and nothing wrong about it. And LinkedIn community is very, very they're very receptive about it, and they really encourage you to be natural. They encourage you to be put yourself upfront in all of you. So these are the 9 categories of content topics, subheads, under which you can choose whatever category of content that you want to post on. So I think now you have enough material already in your mind that you can start posting it immediately. So, but still, if one of us is still not decided about these 9 points, one of the most important ways, as a very cliched saying, the last but not the least, engaging on others' posts. So I'll give you a small example how it really works. For example, we know that a lot of social media influencers. For example, on LinkedIn, we have people like Gary Vee, we have Grant Cardone, who's on the real estate business. Then we have Simon Sinek. Then we have Raghuram Rajan. He was the ex-RBI governor. And as per Raghuram Rajan, this is the only social media that he uses. He does not use Twitter. He does not use Facebook. He only uses LinkedIn. So now we all know that economics is such a big subject and topic, and economy is such a big topic. If, let us say, for example, Raghuram Rajan is putting a post, you agree with him or you don't agree with him, or you have another point of view. If I'm in a position to put my points under Raghuram Rajan's post, you know the kind of people who are really coming and reading this post. They will all be definitely on the CXO categories of very big organizations. For example, if my post is researched, presented in a very good format under his post, there would be a lot of engagement with my post itself, because people will forget the post of Raghuram Rajan, but they will remember they will want to come to your post and they want to write about it. Again, you have some clarification, you have something more to add. So writing under somebody else's post also becomes like a post. For example, if I put a post of me on tips and nuggets, I hardly get 2 likes for it. But if I post something on Raghuram Rajan's post or Gary Vee's post and I have 20 comments and 50 likes, which is better? Obviously, this is better. So we can straight away go with this of finding and following people who are related to our business, related to our industry, related to a subject of our life. And we can start following these people on LinkedIn. And whenever they post something on LinkedIn, we'll be notified by LinkedIn that this person has put on a post. Would you like to go and see that? Once you see that post, you can start engaging yourself, and you have like-minded people coming and engaging on your post by itself. So I think this way we can address what are we going to post on LinkedIn. So what happens is that when you post something on LinkedIn and people come and engage with your post, basically engaging is categorized into 3 categories. One is that somebody just putting a like or a reaction. Nowadays you have more than 5 to 6 reactions on LinkedIn. You have a like, then you have a heart shape, then you love, whatever you call it, then you have a clap for celebrations, then you have a curiosity. So these are all the various kind of reactions people put for your post. Then they also write a comment. So one is the reaction, likes or reaction. Second is writing a comment. Then third is called sharing. Anyway, objective would always be something to put on a LinkedIn which is shareable, because there is a very only if a post is very good and people are prompted to share a post, they would share it with so many other people. Otherwise, they would not. So let us try to, that is the ultimate goal that we want to go for when you're trying to put something on LinkedIn, but not now, slowly and steadily. Okay, that's how it has to be done. So when people are engaging with your post in forms of like, forms of comments, forms of sharing, now they want to know who is this person who's putting the post. Now, from the focus now shifts from the post to the person behind the post. So when they say person behind the post, is that they're going to just go and click on your profile. They're going to click on your LinkedIn profile. So when they click on the LinkedIn profile, what they can see is, Ruchika, can you go next slide? Yeah. So for example, I put on my profile here. So when they click on your profile, first thing that they notice is your picture. So a lot of profiles we have where our friends don't even have a picture on the profile, because they, for whatever reason, they put out their open LinkedIn account. They were not looking deep into that. So since I spent a lot of time on this, I would say that profile picture is more important, because when people come to your picture, they see the person immediately. They see the person behind the post immediately. Your face is shown, and there is a particular symmetry that you need to maintain with the profile picture. Is that it must be a bust picture. If you can see now on my video, it's a bust, and you can see on my profile picture also it's up to bust size, where maximum portion is covered by your head, so that people can see your face very clearly and they can see what attire you're wearing. So basically mine is more like a formal attire, and I want to present people that is meant for my business profile. So that is about the LinkedIn picture. And I recommend that when you're posting this picture or uploading this picture, ensure that you upload a very high quality picture, because just like any other social media sites, they have a lot of data on them and they want to save some data space. So they would try to reduce the resolution of your picture. So when you're posting it, post a high resolution picture. Anyway, they're going to reduce the resolution. So you end up with a decent side of picture rather than a very blank one. Then behind your picture, profile picture, there's something called a banner. If you can see my picture, there's a person sitting on an easy chair, maybe having a beer bottle in hand. If you click on that, there's a surfboard. On the surfboard, my company's name is written, called Global Logistics. So basically it is showing about my company. So when this particular banner is equivalent to what you see on a highway. When you're going on a highway at a speed of 120, 140 kilometers per hour, there are certain banners kept on the highway. For example, a jewelry brand or for a garment brand, you just cannot miss it. However fast you're going, you just cannot miss it. And we all know it costs a bomb to put our company name on those banners. It is not cheap to put our name on those hoardings on the highway. Similarly, I treat this banner equivalent to that. On an international highway of information way, so many people are going so fast, profile after profile are checking in one few seconds. If you put out a banner which holds people's attention and talks about the company, and also a profile picture, if you have a smiling one, then they think that you're approachable. Similarly, you can also make your banners approachable by putting a banner which talks about the business that you're into, and maybe you can also add a small your email ID on that, which would let people know that you are approachable. Immediately when they see the banner, they see email ID and say like, okay, this guy is approachable because he's willing to share his email ID on that. Even though I don't have mine, but I would recommend if you're trying to create a banner. So create few banners for your company if you have more people in the organization who want to use LinkedIn for B2B platform. So everybody can have a different kind of banners, but which represents what exactly do you do. So that is about the banner. So a lot of people have not used the banner format, but I would say it's a waste of a very big real estate asset on your LinkedIn profile. So use it, please. It's available, and you can upload the banner only through PC in some versions, not for the mobile phone, but it's very easy. So just a click away. So you can do that. So if you can see under the picture, if you see my designation and write something about myself. So basically, I write about my company, leadership, and community in a very simple way. This is why I am here on LinkedIn. So you can also think of a one-liner or two-liner to describe about yourself without being too long. Okay, so that people go ahead and they don't get lost in so many technical terms. For example, a lot of us post a lot of technical designations or description about ourselves. So, okay, definitely if you're a highly technical person, it makes sense. But in a lot of businesses, we have to simplify ourselves. So that is my personal belief. So after that, if you come under that, you have something called about. In about column, you can write about your business and why are you doing this business and whom it is benefiting. So basically, to generate leads, very important that people who are reading your profile, they know exactly what you're doing. And more importantly, what I would say is that people who are watching your profile, they must spend more time in your profile, because on an average on LinkedIn, people do not spend more than 8 seconds per profile. So if, for example, on my profile, people are spending more than a minute or more than a minute, so it's almost like 10 times more time spent on my profile. So obviously, as per the algorithm, any person's profile, if people are spending more time, LinkedIn knows that this profile is interesting and people want to come and watch this profile. So it will automatically boost your profile whenever people are opening LinkedIn. And it also has its own internal algorithms. Like, for example, if you study in the same college, same school, same organization, same industry, or following similar hashtags, it matches people. Just like a matrimonial site, it's matching people to everyone. So also on LinkedIn, there are more than 800 profiles. So if you treat our profile as a business card, now people want to do business with you, but there's a stack of 800 million business cards. What is the possibility that your business card is on the top of the stack? So it's our responsibility to make a profile, an all-star profile, so that our business card starts floating by itself. It's only by we updating a profile maximum way by writing relevant things. So if you can see on about, I've written about my organization and what we really do. And you can give a personal summary. Personal summary, I suggest to write in a storyline format. So it's very easy to read and to remember, and more importantly, for people to relate to you as a person. Okay, so we go next one. Yeah, so the new apps are available there to make a profile look even more different from others. So you have seen some people profile, it has a red circle or a blue circle or a green circle, which makes it look. So basically there's a simple app called profilepicturemaker.com, or similar apps are there. You just have to put the profile picture there and it makes your profile picture look even much better. So as I said that if it has a visual appeal, people would stick to your profile and they will read more about your profile. Next one. So if you now after the introduction and the summary, there's something called featured. On the featured, this is a place where your most engaged topics or articles will get featured here, but it doesn't get featured automatically. you have to go to your LinkedIn post which got trended, which ended up trending. You can just put, just have to click a star button on that which says featured. So it will come and feature on your top. So what all you can feature here? Definitely people who are writing articles, they can definitely feature here. You can also feature links from other sites. For example, you've been already very active on Facebook and you have a lot of material on Facebook. You can just copy and paste it on the featured here, which was trending, which was interesting for people. If you are active on YouTube, which has a maximum views, you can put your YouTube video here. Similarly, on Instagram, you can put whichever link, external link, you can put on featured, but you can't put external links in others. So this is one place where you can showcase your external links in the featured column. So coming down to that, we have something called activity. Activity is what I do on LinkedIn. So when somebody coming to my profile, they have seen my profile picture, they've seen my banner, they've seen my introduction summary. After seeing summary, they see feature. Now they are more engaged with my own profile now. More than the content, they engage with my profile. So they want to see what activity I'm doing. For example, if I posted something on, for example, I'll take Raghuram Rajan post itself. So for example, if I posted on it, people would want to see where all I'm posting, with whom all I'm interacting, what all comments I'm writing. So they want to see about me. And if my interaction is with my business people or with people whom others aspire to be connected to, they know that I am a gateway for them to connect with those people. So I become a resource person. Just by seeing somebody's activity, you can know that what is the kind of engagement he's doing on LinkedIn or she's doing on LinkedIn. And I would like to know more about them. So that's very important for people to have, to have an activity which is very active and which is very highly engaging and valuable, so that people take time to come under that also. Under that they see what experience I have, where all I work, for example, current company of mine, then where I've worked before, and my education qualifications. So coming next to that, Chika. Yeah. So after that, you have something, they come down all the way. Imagine now you already spent more than 1 minute seeing my profile. So coming under that, you have something called skills and endorsements. Skills and endorsements, something that skills is something which I choose myself. LinkedIn doesn't choose for me, I choose myself. Basically, I'm in shipping and logistics. So LinkedIn will throw up certain skills which are required to be in logistics as an expert. So for example, export, import, documentation, projects, these are all the skills it will throw by itself. So I just had to go and click on it that yes, I have this skill, I have this skill. Basically, this particular, what do you say, like the facility was given in LinkedIn basically for somebody who is looking for a job. All of us know LinkedIn basically was a job portal. Now it's become a social networking portal, but it was a job portal. So the people who have to showcase their skills. So LinkedIn would generate the skills and we have to click on that. So now what has happened is that people who choose the skills, LinkedIn has given that permission for third party to come and endorse on the skills. For example, I say my skills are exports. The people who have dealt with me in my business previously as my colleague, as my bosses or my clients, they can come and endorse, yes, Naveen is good in freight forwarding. So they'll come and click on freight forwarding. Basically, somebody's coming and endorsing my skills. So you can see here, first two is my logistics management. I have 75 people who have come and endorsed me on my logistics management skills. And 66 people have endorsed me on my freight forwarding skills. So basically, it gives me more authenticity that yes, people believe that I have these skills. Coming back to that, second one is a part of it's called recommendations. Recommendation is nothing else but somebody giving a personal testimonial about you. So again, it was a component which was made for people looking for jobs. As in job, they used to ask for referrals, basically the same as recommendation. But why the recommendation required is required again to bring out my authenticity as a professional, as an organization. People come and write recommendation. This is also written by my connections. But we all know that we all have profiles on LinkedIn, but people have not by themselves. One fine day they don't wake up and they say, okay, I need to write a recommendation for Naveen. It doesn't happen that way. So, but we can definitely make it happen. If I want a recommendation from a person or my customer or my colleague or any of my bosses, I can ask them, would you like to write a recommendation on my post? So they would be lost. But if they're on LinkedIn, what you can do is that you can write a recommendation about the person that I have worked under this boss and all these things. Okay, write a recommendation about the person, and you can post it on behalf of them. So when you post it, LinkedIn will automatically send them a notification saying that Naveen has given a recommendation about you. Would you like to recommend Naveen also? So it's more like give and get. So you give somebody a recommendation to get a recommendation. So I think it's fair enough. Nothing wrong in that, because it really again boosts your profile, makes your profile even more strong and authentic. So there's some minor things like languages and organization, and you also have the LinkedIn profile. In the contact information, if you see, it says your LinkedIn profile, which is you can just do copy and you can paste in your wherever you writing an article on or sharing on Facebook, or you can share your LinkedIn profile on a WhatsApp. You can share like a visiting card. So it's very easy to copy the LinkedIn profile and share with any other medium or an email or whatever it is. Okay. If you see your email, I have given my Gmail ID. You might wonder why I'm talking so much about business, but I'm giving my Gmail ID. One primary reason is that if I give my company ID, there's a lot of spam which might come, because as I said, there are 800 million people on LinkedIn and it's a marketplace, and people can pick up my email ID and start sending me spam, which I really don't enjoy too much. So, but of course, if your email system has a spam filter, you don't have to worry about it. You can give your company's email ID, don't worry about it, and you can don't have to have a trouble. But if you see one thing here, on contact list, there's also option to give you a mobile number. But I have not given the mobile number here for primary reason, because now so much of cyber security issues are there. So if I give my most used email ID, if I give my most used mobile number or my primary mobile number, and also my name is there, my designation, my address, everything is there, I could be a potential threat of somebody for identity theft, or for somebody to do a cyber crime because of that. So please remove your mobile number from the contact list. People who have to reach you, they would reach you anyhow. I'll tell you those steps also, how they would reach you on LinkedIn, but you don't have to give your mobile number on LinkedIn profile. Please remove it. My personal recommendation to you. So if you can go to the, okay. So what happens is that under this, we have interests. So when I'm viewing my own profile, I cannot see one particular thread which others can see. Basically, that is people also viewed. So for example, if I'm viewing Archana's profile, when I view her profile, I come to the contact portion of it. When I come below the contact portion, there's something called people also viewed. Basically, people also viewed people like Ruchika or like Stravana, who are having a similar kind of a background, working for a similar organization and a profile. So I can also browse their profiles, or from their colleagues like Anuj and others who are in the same organization. But everything is built on viewer habits. Everything is built on the viewer habits. So the LinkedIn has 800 million people, but not everybody is seriously here to do business. They also come here to do a lot of other things, which I would say like a Tinder or whatever it is, Instagram, they come like that. Okay. So they are in the habit of viewing people's profile for whatever reason. Okay. So what happens with the viewing profile, what happens, especially for ladies, you have your profile there. You would be surprised when you ask your friends to check your profile and say, who are all those people under my profile, like my profile? Actually, they won't be in a relationship. They won't be in a relationship. Most of them will be fake profiles. Okay. So there is a way to get out of it, is to go to your settings and remove that option that people also viewed profiles similar to mine. So Ruchika, if you go to the next slide, the link is given there. Yeah. So please use this option to go to your privacy, and you can remove this option under profile section, change viewers of this profile also viewed option. So you can remove this from your particular, from your profile. So people do not get lost in others, watching others profile when they come to watch your profile. So on a selfish way also, for a guy like me, it won't be any threat or whatever it is, but it won't show my profile differently. But for me, the other point of view is that when people are coming to see my profile, my competitors' profile is also similar to mine, because they're in the similar business, similar experience, whatever it is. So their profile also would start popping up under my profile. So I don't want my potential customer or a potential business associate to come to my profile and find somebody else on my profile. So as a business point of view, I also removed it from my profile. So this is what all of you can use it. Okay. So next, I think this is over. Yeah. So next. So Rishika, I think we're done with the presentation. So yeah, thank you. So this is how I've spoken very less about the content. I've spoken more about the profile. Now, how the lead is generated. Obviously, when you have a content to share, people are coming to engage with the content in the forms of like, forms of writing comments, in forms of sharing. So basically, I have an algorithm calculation for my post to check how good are my posts are doing. I give 1 mark for every like I get. I give 10 marks for every comment I get, and I give 100 marks for every share I get. So every post I can easily calculate how is the engagement matrix. Basically, vanity metrics. It doesn't make much value, but definitely I want to know. So when you start posting regularly, you start being recognized as an expert in your trade. So there's three-stage way to get leads. One is that, are you now becoming an expert about your industry, about your business, or about your domain? Okay, number one, which you already established by the amount of engagement on your post, by the amount of followership with your posts. Number one. Number two, now since I'm an expert, do people trust me? Yes, people trust me because they're doing business with me, and I'm posting about the people who are doing business with me. And I'm a real business person, but I'm also spending my time on LinkedIn. It is not that I'm a content creator or I'm a, just to putting posts and all. I'm a real business person, but I also share my stories here. So people also see how many people you're connected to, whom are you connected to. So number one is that, am I an expert? Yes. Number two, can people trust me? People can trust me because with whom I hang around with. Okay. Only then people would do business with you. That is what B2B is all about. So leads, as I said initially, there's a magnetic part of it, that leads would come to you like a magnet. They would, B2B business, high value business, people never discuss on comments column. They would come to your email. They would come to your email and say, Naveen, you know what? I have this particular project. Do you think we can work together on this? You get a business associate, you get a potential customer, then you talk to them on your in your email, and you straight away take them to your WhatsApp and say, boss, you know, I'm not on LinkedIn whole day, but definitely can we share numbers and we can move to WhatsApp now. So that's how I calculate that how many posts I put, how much engagement I have on my post, then how many people have emailed me in my LinkedIn email. Then from there, how many people have migrated them to my WhatsApp. Obviously, once you're on WhatsApp, because the emails and work from home, I'm working on my WhatsApp full day as a business email ID. So there we convert the businesses. It can be of any size, from $1,000 to $10,000. I've done enough deals on LinkedIn, and people have seen this kind of thing. So this is a very generic way of, sorry, not generic, but very generic way. I would say that there is nothing inorganic. There's no hacks in that. We are not using some algorithmic things. I'm not even talking about the hashtags. I'm not even talking about tagging people. I'm not talking about that. Okay, it's very simple, straightforward. What content I'm sharing. Number one, when people like my content, how they come and see my profile. If they like in my profile, so I'm building a matter of trust, and they want to talk to me. So this is my way of 3 stage of going on LinkedIn. So I think I'm on time, Archana. So
yes, I think there are a few questions coming at this point. I think we'll encourage the audience to start posting the questions in the Q&A. We'll also take a few audio questions if we have the time, but start posting your questions in the Q&A section of this webinar. There are a few already, Naveen, and I'll like to direct them at you. There is a question from an audience, from one of the audiences, says, are there any inbuilt tools or recommended method in a way for the LinkedIn content to attract the right TG?
So basically, yeah, inbuilt tools are something we call as pages. We all know that pages and the groups. For example, I'm in construction industry, so I can look for the word construction, just put the hashtag construction. There'll be a lot of groups of construction or architects and things like that. So I can go and ask to be joined in the particular group. If they accept in the group, then you're also allowed to post your content in the particular group. So it's a target group where you're putting your post. Number two is following those hashtags. And number three is that when you're putting a post, you can put those hashtags under your post. so that people who are interested in those hashtags, they read those particular articles. So this is one way of doing it. Joining groups. Number two is following or posting along with the hashtags. So it gets notified for the people who are consuming this particular content, specific content.
Oh. Okay, the next question is why should we use the document section from Karthika?
Okay, so basically document section is sharing your PDF or a PowerPoint presentation on LinkedIn. All of us need those PowerPoint presentation to present to somebody else. So if you're providing to somebody on LinkedIn as a shareable platform, because this is downloadable, people can download this content. So for example, I'm talking about, I wrote an article or a PowerPoint presentation or PDF about different types of shipping containers. So it had more than 30,000 views and it was shared hundreds of times and there were hundreds of downloads. But when they were downloading, one thing was there, all my signature, my email ID, my phone number as a print was there. So it's a marketing material which I'm giving free of cost. So it's basically giving you, now you cannot go and give a brochure to people, but definitely it's a kind of way to distribute your brochure. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question from AP. How do you generate lead via your LinkedIn post, and what kind of post work best? Video, photos, or graphics?
So definitely, I've done a survey on LinkedIn, which says that people do still consume a lot of articles, meaning a written article, what you've written about it. And definitely, you can also put a picture along with that. So which is why people are working and they just want to browse. They don't want to watch videos, a lot of videos, because with video you need an audio also. Obviously, you need a head jack. So videos are okay, but not so much business wise. But definitely, very serious ones from the articles. Articles, I'm telling you, do some research and write white paper kind of stuff, which would definitely take you beyond everybody in the competition. They're writing book itself, So there is the highest lead generating content. You can do it. But if you do not have time, please write articles about it. And who is coming and engaging on your LinkedIn, please take care of the people who are coming to your post. That will only generate B2B leads. For example, somebody writing a comment, go and write a comment back to them. Find out about how is the business going, but not in a very intrusive way, but whichever way that you find they don't feel threatened for not to come back again on your post. So engage and take care of your people who come into your post and engaging. Don't go running behind somebody who's not even on your post. So when you talk to them more and more, obviously they will become your friends and they start business with you. As I said, that first is you're an expert, second is the trust, third is the business. So,
is there a unique lead generation story that you would like to share with us, Naveen? How did you convert? If there's a story that you want to share.
Okay, for example, that I had what I have done is that during the this very recent story, during the COVID, a lot of masks were getting exported out of China. So there was so much of buzz and noise about mask import, mask export, and that particular time, India was allowed to export masks also until 19th of March. But what happened was that from China, a lot of masks got stuck in the airport and the ports. It was not getting exported because all of us know that millions of masks were faulty in the part of Europe and other countries. So there were a lot of bashing that China has received, that they are selling spurious material, especially during the time of COVID. So the Chinese government became very, very strict, and they put a lot of documentation and stringent action on the export of masks. So I did a research kind of stuff on that, and I wrote an article on LinkedIn exactly telling the people what is the situation currently in China, what all people should be taking care of when they are importing masks from China, and what are the different mode of transportation they must use. For example, if you're using an airplane, for example, if mask was such a big quantity, you have to charter a whole aircraft which would go 105 to 170 tons. So when they bring the aircraft there, and imagine customs is not clearing your cargo, you're paying $25,000 per day as a demurrage for the charter company. So you can avoid this situation. So when I wrote this article, it's very deep. There was so much of engagement on my content. People started thinking that I'm also dealing in masks. But I got in touch with a lot of people who are dealing with masks, people who are dealing with nitrile gloves, and people who are dealing with various COVID equipments. And these equipments have to go in rush. So now you can imagine that I have business which today people do not talk about credit. People do not talk about the price point. They just want deliverables, and they want a quality person to handle their business. So I have a lot of business which came into lead because of my one particular article on COVID.
Okay. Interesting. So this question is saying, why should I be adding my teammates in my account?
Okay, so it depends how many employees are there in your organization, and if you have a company LinkedIn page. If you have a company LinkedIn page, if you have more than 40 employees on LinkedIn connected with the same company name, for example, when you can see my profile, where I have worked, where I'm currently working is my company profile page, which shows that I'm working there. And today we have more than 12,000 subscribers on my followers for my company LinkedIn page. Then I have worked with All Cargo, I worked with Freight Systems. So these companies have more than 40 employees. So what happens is that LinkedIn starts generating statistics about these organizations, how many people are working here, how many people are working under senior category, mid-level category, and whatever, and how many people are in sales. So they start showing some dynamics about the organization. So the more employees you have connected on the LinkedIn, it is going to boost your LinkedIn page, official page. So all of us want LinkedIn official page also indirectly benefits there. And one more thing.
So you can maintain your company page and your personal professional pages.
Yeah. So all the employees will be tagged to the company profile also when they choose the company name. And more importantly is that, well, I get a lot of leads, for example. I get a lot of leads on my LinkedIn. So most of the time what happens, I just tag one of my colleagues. Hey, Mani, please take care of it. Hey, Hari, please take care of it. Depending on the product, So definitely I would love you to have so many leads that you have to keep on tagging your colleagues rather than you addressing it by yourself. So.
Right. Okay, a question from Rafiq. If you can't share your phone number on of your company, what is the sense of spending so much time on LinkedIn?
Okay, so as I said that LinkedIn engagement is human to human, person to person. Okay, so if they want your phone number, they can just write on the comment column itself. They don't have to come in mailing to you. They said you should say that, hey, can I have your contact number? So if you go to my profile today, whatever articles I shared yesterday, there are more than 5 to 6 people who asked me for mobile number. Obviously, they want my mobile number to be connected to me. So I said, okay, I'm sending you a DM. You can see my comment also. Yesterday's comment, I commented to 3 of them. I said, I'm DMing you my mobile number. So I do that. So as I said, it's magnetic. People, they may read your mobile number, they may note your mobile number, they may never call you.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
So there's a next question from Samir Jain. How does Sales Navigator help?
I haven't used Sales Navigator. So I think it's paid service. You have to pay for it. So I think it should be like any other CRM package. So I do not see much value to
okay.
it. Yeah.
Do you connect to people proactively, and are there any messaging scripts for that?
Okay. So I never use any script for sending a connection request to anyone. Okay. I send to people who really are in my business, and I don't care if they accept me or don't accept me. I don't take it in any way. I don't get offended if somebody doesn't want to accept me. Absolutely right. They have all the rights not to accept me. So I don't believe in writing a script and trying to connect with them. I'm here in a marketplace, shaking hands with hundreds of people. 2 of them want to talk back to me, but others may not. So, but definitely my profile, I'm trying to make it more, as I said, magnetic. So I get daily so many requests for people to join. Now I'm building my profile. But having said that, one of the hacks that I use to connect with people is that, for example, Ascent is doing a program, say next Conclave program, okay, and they put a list of participants who are attending the program, okay. So now there are more than 200, 300 people, and everybody's names are there as attendees. Just go and send connection requests to all of them, because anyway, you're meeting them in Bombay. But moreover, if you want to have an engagement with them and say, like, you know what, I'm coming to Ascent meet Conclave on this day, and I would love to meet you there. So I want to send you a connection request. All probabilities they will connect you. Yeah.
Okay. Good. At this point of time, there are a couple of more questions for you, Naveen. But at this point of time, I would like to open a poll for just 30 seconds for the audience to give us a feedback about the session so far. So, Ruchika, can we put that on and give people 30 seconds to respond to it before for Naveen? I'll request at this point of time to all the attendees to actually take this poll. This is a feedback for us and the speaker to keep bettering what we are doing in terms of bringing relevant content for you. So please do take this before we go back to the questions. Right. Are we done with the question, Ruchika? Okay. So more questions for you, Naveen. Is there a best time to post LinkedIn post? Time of the day? Is it 11 a.m. Monday to Wednesday to Friday? If you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, perfectly. When we were not working from home, office timing, that was a good time, around 11 to 1 or 12. But you have to see one thing that whenever you post something, engagement happens only within 1 hour. Engagement should happen between 1 hour of your posting. So, for example, if you have 1,000 people, LinkedIn would send your post to 30 people in your group. If those people engage with your post, they send to the next set of 1,000 out of 1,000, 30 or 1,000. So it's multiplication of that. So in first hour, golden hour, you can say for that matter, that how many people get engaged in the first hour, it gets start trending. So now because of work from home, anytime is okay now because people are, there's no specific time. And the more users you have, more followers you have, you can start posting anytime. You can midnight also if you post, people will engage with you. So,
okay. So there's a question from Smriti Dalvi. Do you need to request people for endorsement? Which has more value, endorsements or recommendations?
I would definitely say both have more value. Endorsement is very, very easier. So if you want to do endorsement, go to your colleagues or friends or customers and endorse on their posts on their profile. Automatically, you'll get a notification saying that you have endorsed them and would you like to endorse them back. So it's a give and take option. So very quickly, you can take an exercise that today I'll endorse 10 people for 5 skills each, so 50 endorsements. So please expect half of them at least back for you.
There's a question from Dilip, which is interesting. Am I inviting my competition to target my developers if I encourage them to be more visible on LinkedIn?
See, competition is there everywhere, and the more you share, the more confidence it shows about you, and that means that you have still more with you left. So, and the more you share, the more you learn, and you come back and share because people will start engaging with you. So, it only helps us in sharing more.
Right. There's a question from Renee. We are already in the process of marketing on LinkedIn, and we manufacture machines and have material testing applications across 45 industries since they're used by each and every manufacturer. How do we go about it? I just want to give some tips. I know you can't get into details. You'll have to probably connect with Renee separately.
Yeah, I think.
Give some quick tips to her.
Yeah, so basically, if the applications are so wide, I'm sure that you'll definitely have wider audience. So in that case, you really do not have to worry about how you're going to reach them, because if you see 45 different applications, I'm sure there's a high probability of people to see your post. You don't really have to boost anything. It's like, for example, very specific. For example, I do not know a lot of, okay, a friend of mine, he does, client of mine rather, he does ship repairs. So imagine it's such a small audience. How many number of people in the world really own ships and how many of them really want to get repaired, So for him, it's very difficult to reach. But 45 applications, I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about this. Whatever you post, people are going to engage with your post.
Okay. The next question is, are your competitors connecting with you on LinkedIn, and if so, why?
Yeah, my competitors do connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, I have competitors who are tooth and nail with me. Okay, so I'm little hesitant to connect with them, as somebody said that your competitors would also see. So I'm little hesitant to connect with them, and but there are competitors who are much bigger than me, much smaller than me, I do connect with them. So I really don't feel threatened by them. So,
Okay. How effective are LinkedIn ads? Yeah.
very expensive. Very expensive.
It's very expensive, but how effective are there if we were
It
to
is
put
not.
that money?
I mean, again, the TG, the target group, the target audience, how they define it, I don't think it's going to work. For that matter, your Google ads are much cheaper to generate.
Much cheaper.
Yeah, much cheaper.
So all these paid things like Sales Navigator and LinkedIn ads and all that, would you recommend using them? I see you're not using a Sales Navigator for a lead generation bid, but is this highly recommended by you even if you don't use it?
So if you really want to use a lot of paid versions of tools of LinkedIn, you can take LinkedIn Premium. LinkedIn Premium is 2,000 rupees per month, or per annum is 24,000 discounted. So under LinkedIn Premium, you can use LinkedIn Analytics about any organization. Whatever company you think you wake up with that I want to go with this company, you can find the contact person if it's listed on LinkedIn, his profile, everything you can find. If you're an HR expert, you can go and see who all is working in the company, what is the distribution of employees in various departments. And more importantly, you have LinkedIn Learning, which is free of cost for LinkedIn Premium users. So go for LinkedIn Premium. There are a lot of, even Sales Navigator, I'm not very sure, but they keep prompting me to use it for a free demo for 1 month. Maybe it's a part of LinkedIn Premium aspect.
Okay. Question from Abhinav Thakur. Are you selective in accepting connection request?
No, I'm not very selective, but definitely I avoid accepting connection requests where I do not have more than 5 to 10 common friends. I do not accept any connection which doesn't have a profile picture. So these are the things that I avoid. And of course, which look suspicious like a fake, a very pretty lady connecting to me. I don't think but somebody should do that. So
it's not a honey trap, but yeah, could be. So you have to be careful about that. What about people who are pitching you for a job and, how do you handle that?
So yeah, see, I mean, pre-COVID, I was helping people to get jobs and to connect them because everybody needs a job.
Through LinkedIn.
Through LinkedIn, yeah. So I would, and I would do something for people to get jobs on LinkedIn, and I would tag them. Somebody's posting a job post in my particular contact group. I would go and comment saying that all my connections, they can have a look here. I created a hashtag for that. People are following those hashtags also. But after COVID, there are no jobs. So basically, I'm not replying to every particular email because they also understand that, and they also send it to everyone. So I'm not responding to most of them. But yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. Should I discourage only sales guys to be on LinkedIn from my organization purely from my business point of view?
No, I did not get it.
Should I encourage only sales guys to be on LinkedIn? Maybe it's from their organization, I think is what they mean.
No. Everybody should be on LinkedIn who have something to share. Example, if you're CFO in a particular industry, okay, he knows exactly the inside out of your particular industry, how the taxation is being done, how the costing to be done, whatever it is. If he's sharing as an expert about your industry, about finance on LinkedIn, there would be engagement from your potential customers along with the CFO. Even he can generate leads for you. So people who have something good to share, they should be there. Avoid salespeople who do not have much to share, who are just posting the company posters there. That will discourage and it will dilute your brand value. Please do not put sales posters on LinkedIn. It will dilute your company value, brand value. So sales guys who do not know how to use LinkedIn, you should just ask them to be members, but not post anything. You properly be trained properly.
So 3 quick tips to increase brand equity on LinkedIn.
So you yourself are your brand, and in what way you're presenting yourself as a giver, as an expert, that only and the friends that you're keeping on LinkedIn, and the kind of engagement that you're doing on LinkedIn, that itself is going to enhance your brand. So I would personally say that company pages and profile, yes, they're important, but more engagement and more recognition happens the same activity done by the person on your personal profile. So yeah,
okay. The next question is, what is the best metric for gauging effectiveness of a post? Is it the likes, impressions, or the engagement rate?
Yeah. So as I said, that there's I call it vanity metrics. What do you know as your LinkedIn likes and comments and share and all these things. everything is fine, but I am here to do business. So I'm here to make very meaningful connections. So that is a subjective matter for you. For me, to be very frank, any business which I do, maybe $50 margin or $1,000 margin or a low selling point, whatever it is, it's an engagement for me. I can just see how much revenue I've generated through LinkedIn. So I have a matrix with me. I have a data with me that which are the customers I have generated through LinkedIn. So you can set targets and you can work towards it.
So somebody, one of the attendees has a very different point of view who said that for me, the LinkedIn is more like a platform to sharing knowledge between professionals. You're giving it a very different scope of B2B. Kindly justify yourself.
Okay, so I generally, I'm not a very social person, and to be very frank, I don't enjoy being somewhere just to be noticed by people. I would definitely very focus on my business, and I don't feel any guilt about it that I'm coming to LinkedIn and engaging with people who want to do business with me, and I'm happy for the business that I generate. So, to be very frank, I'm not guilty about it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, could you suggest a well-designed corporate LinkedIn and personal LinkedIn, which is your profile, and how to block my competitors from seeing my contacts, connections, and my skill updation?
So everybody can see to whom you're connected with, as well as LinkedIn is concerned. Okay, if you block your profile too much, then you will not, people will not come and connect with you. So, for example, I'm connected to people whom I would have never thought I would be connected. So they're all biggies of industry, of CEOs, who are billionaires and the captains of industry and all these things. So they are pretty open for person like me to connect and to engage with them. So I'm seeing the humility side of theirs. I'm seeing the approachability side of them. So approachability is very, very important on LinkedIn. As I said, start from the profile picture. Are you having a smiling face? Are you putting your email ID there? How much openness you have? I think being on social media, it's important to be social. And as far as the company page is concerned, yes, you have to update it. It basically keeps a record of the information that you are posting on social media, so that anybody want to pick up something from the company page, they can definitely go and do that as employees at the company and keeping collaterals in one place. So it's your digital data box.
There's a question, is it okay to tag or ask influential CXOs? For example, a CTO of an Ultratech cement or companies like that, for their comments on your post and blogs, or does it look desperate?
No, it won't look desperate if you are sending him an email and being very clear about the purpose, okay, and why you're doing that. It's for the greater benefit of a lot of people, and you have a content which is good for people to watch and engage with, and definitely having the name around it would reach more people. For example, on my particular LinkedIn post, there was a person who's creating a lot of content for the logistic companies, but he has a very small followership on LinkedIn. So he said, Naveen, would you like to share the content which I made? So basically, it's a very good content for students, for people who want to learn about next gen logistics, the technology part of it, the AI and the blockchain part of it. I'm not an expert in all those things, but I have a good number of people in logistics sector with me. So he used me to put his profile, put his information on LinkedIn. So you can definitely ask somebody in mailing, nothing wrong, not desperate at all. And more importantly, if you're going for the greater benefit and benefit of viewers also, I don't think nothing wrong in asking.
Okay. Do you recommend company page which people can follow, or a company page which is like a human page which I can add and use exactly like a personal page?
No,
which one do you recommend?
No, company page is like a blog page. Nowadays, blogs, people don't read blog too much, or they don't come to a company website also. But you need it there. So please have a good company profile, company page. Okay, do it well. You outsource it to somebody for for a very good, decent fee. I mean, not very high fee. 20,000, 30,000 rupees. Somebody would maintain your company page. They'll give you a social media plan, what you must post. But encourage each and every employee of the organization to put all these posts, and they can just tag the company name. For example, whenever I put out a post, I don't say that Global Logistics moved this particular shipment, challenging shipment from point A to point B. When I say Global Logistics, I just choose @ of Global Logistics automatically my company page get tagged. So along with the post. So people who are reading the post, if they're inclined to click on the company name, which is highlighted in blue, it goes straight away to my company page. So today we have almost 12,500 followers for the company page.
Okay. Should the bio contain any keywords that people search for us, so that you ensure people are searching?
Exactly. Yeah. People do search keywords. I have not used any keywords for mine. I just put logistics and global is my keyword. But definitely, I understand people have highly technical jobs, which only a technical person, when searching, your profile would pop up for them. Yeah. If your job is technical, I would definitely recommend you to have it.
Why do posts on my company page receive less views and impressions than posts on my personal page, despite my company page having more followers?
See, I mean, I think you're proving me what all I spoke for last 1 hour. So thank you so much for your question, but you're validating whatever I've done for last 1 hour. So this is, to be very frank. So your profile is the key on LinkedIn. So let's work more on our profile. Company page has to be there, and nothing wrong if people engaging with you. That's the way it should be.
Okay. How much time do you spend on LinkedIn on an average daily?
So I may spend around 2 hours per day on LinkedIn.
Okay. How do you get abusive messages, and how do you address them? So trolls are there as well. How do you address them?
Okay. So yeah, trolls are there. I don't address the trolls. That's what is my way of doing things. I just ignore it. Okay. I let it be there for one night. Next day, I remove that post. I remove that comment from because it's my post. I can decide what can stay there, what cannot stay there. So I don't engage with them, because objective of a troll is to engage you, and you don't want to engage with them. So I don't want to, because that's not where I am there. So.
Okay. The next question is from Abhinav. Do you directly in mail for generating leads? What in mail to conversion ratio?
So I don't write to anyone, because see, imagine you have an email and somebody writing to you. We have a new software launched, and we have a new HRM package, and we have COVID essential. Why did you buy from us? I mean, definitely it puts you off. So from that feeling, I never write about my company to anybody's email. I want people to come to my email inquiring about my business. So it's more of a magnetic marketing rather than me putting push marketing. I don't.
Right. Another question again is, I think you've answered this previously in that masks story, but could you give us some insight on how you've converted a B2B cold lead into a paying customer? Is there any other story you want to share?
Okay, so for example, what I really, it's about reaction to the action which I've taken. That's what they want to ask. That I've done something and somebody has read it and they come to me and they've done business with me. Okay, so there are various companies. For example, this COVID is one scenario. I had done something about handling solar panel, how to do solar panel handling, because very sensitive cargo and a lot of challenges are there. We have a lot of unknown charges being billed and things like that. I did an article on that. So a person who came to me, he is doing solar projects based in India for a European company in West Africa. The business side, I mean, the project size is $1 billion, and the project is for 1.5 years. I have to move nearly 5,500 containers all over India, Middle East, and China, all the way to West Africa. We have to set up a warehouse there. We have to complete logistics, and it all came because of a particular post. So now you can imagine a $1 billion business. My billing will be what is my billing on that? So that's one of the biggest deals that I can talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the time we have. We have already overshot by 15-20 minutes already. Thank you so much, Naveen. I think lots of notes for us also for the Ascent page and personal page as well to see how we can leverage that. Because like I heard somebody saying, LinkedIn is your new identity out there. Given the COVID scenario, online, what you put is what the impression you create. So we better do a good job of that for us and for the companies we represent or run. Thank you so much. We will definitely be sharing a a video recording of this webinar with all the participants. So if anybody has missed the whole bit, they can go back and listen to it. And thank you once again, Naveen, and thank you to the participants also. Always a pleasure to have a member come and take these sessions for us.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
And if A is equal to 0, it will become a